Chapter 81 Recruiting Top Forces. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wait until Xiao Ze and the others return to the inner courtyard. At this time, there are very few students in the new area, and most of them are recruited by some forces. This is also the main source of fresh blood for those forces in the inner court. The remaining ones are either because they are too weak and no force is willing to recruit them, otherwise, they are strong, confident in themselves, and unwilling to succumb to weak forces. But all this has nothing to do with Xiao Ze, after all. He earned his reputation in the fire hunting competition. No one from those forces willing to recruit new students dared to ask him. After all, Xiao Ze is too powerful, and their power may not be able to tolerate Xiao Ze. If you really dare to recruit Xiao Ze, I'm afraid the position of leader will have to be given up. Your leader is not as powerful as Xiao Ze, so why should you be the leader? In the inner courtyard, strength and weakness are so valued. When they returned to the small attic where they lived, Hanyu happened to be there, and the four of them chatted for a while. Hanyu felt the aura exuding from Xiao Xun'er inadvertently. I sighed in my heart that the efficacy of this 7th grade elixir is really extraordinary. While she was envious, she also looked at Xiao Ze with a bit of surprise. Such a valuable elixir was actually given as soon as I said it would be given. By the way, a group of people wanted to come over yesterday to recruit you. Hanyu seemed to remember something and said to Xiao Ze. Ah. After knowing my achievements, you still dare to recruit my power. You must not be weak in the inner court, right? Xiao Ze was a little surprised. Could it be that the top forces took a fancy to him? Indeed, that force has a strong man ranked 5th on the list, called Liang Gang, and its leader is Lin Liang. TSK. Lin Liang. What a domineering name. Xiao Ze sighed. It can be seen from this name that this person's behavior should be quite domineering. Yes, the Liang Gang's behavior is extremely domineering, but they also have the capital to be domineering. Hanyu explained thoughtfully. The Liang Gang implements elite management and only recruits strong students. Although the number is sparse, every one of them is a strong spirit fighter. You must know that strong fighting spirit warriors are not common in the inner courtyard. After hearing Hanyu's explanation, Xiao Ze raised his eyebrows slightly. It seems that it was his ability to fight spirits in the fire energy hunting competition that made the so-called Liang Gang focus on him. Then what if I don't want to join the Liang Gang? Hearing Xiao Ze's words, Hanyu smiled lightly. It is said that many people in the Liang Gang were rebellious at first, but later they were all impressed by Lin Liang. Are you convinced? That's nice. I'm afraid you have to win them over one by one, right? When Xiao Ze heard this, he couldn't help laughing. Hanyu shrugged her shoulders and said playfully. Probably so. After all, the only way to convince those rebellious people is to show more terrifying power than them. Forget it, don't worry about them. Even if you meet them, I won't join them. Do you want to convince me? Let's talk about it in the next life. Xiao Ze shook his head, stood up and planned to go to Tianfen Qi refining tower to practice. Thanks to the existence of the origin tree in the void space, his cultivation efficiency in the sky-burning Qi refining tower is more than 10 times faster than others. If you have such a powerful tool for cultivation, if you don't make good use of it, wouldn't it be a waste of resources? Hanyu nodded when she saw this. The fighting prowess shown by Xiao Ze was not without the strength to fight even against a strong man at the peak of Douling. It is still very difficult for Lin Liang to rely on his strength to defeat Xiao Ze. After all, Earth-level fighting skills are a final word even among high-level practitioners. At the fighting spirit level, it is simply a killer weapon. Watching Xiao Ze and the others leaving, Hanyu couldn't help but sigh. Although the power of the Earth-level fighting skills is terrifying, the difficulty of training matches its power. Even if ordinary people obtain Earth-level fighting skills, it is extremely difficult to master them. However, he met the monster Xiao Ze, who had mastered Earth-level fighting skills at the fighting spirit level. The inner courtyard will definitely become more exciting because of Xiao Ze's presence. Hanyu said expectantly, although he couldn't really get close to Xiao Ze, but it seems to be a blessing to witness his growth. Soon after, Hanyu was about to go to her own force, and she met 3 people with strong auras and serious faces. Seeing Hanyu, the leader showed a smile. Miss Hanyu, I heard that Xiao Ze seems to be back. I wonder if he is in the attic. As soon as Han Yu heard this, she knew that Xiao Ze and the others were too much attention, and they were noticed by people from the college as soon as they came back. She shook her head slightly and said softly, Xiao Ze is not in the attic. He doesn't like to stay in the attic on weekdays. Shenlong never sees his end. Lin Hao frowned slightly after hearing Han Yu's words. Didn't Xiao Ze get blocked again? What a pity. Then does Miss Han Yu know where Xiao Ze went? I don't know about this, but they just came back from the mountains, so they should have a feast, right? Han Yu casually gave her guess. Is this like this? I'd like to thank Miss Han Yu. After Lin Hao thanked Han Yu, he took the two of them straight to the cafeteria. Han Yu looked at the three people leaving with a slight smile on her lips. Sorry, although you are eager to recruit, Xiao Ze doesn't want to see you. Han Yu walked briskly in the other direction, helping Xiao Ze avoid a small trouble put Han Yu in a good mood. On the other side, Xiao Ze took Xiao Xun'er and the little medical fairy to find Elder Lu's location and communicated with him, successfully obtained a pass to the third floor. There is naturally no problem with Xiao Ze's strength, but the little medical fairy and Xiao Xun'er are in a bit of trouble. Although they are not afraid of anger, their physical strength is still a bit difficult to pass. Entering the third level requires at least the strength of a 5-star fighting master. In order not to be stopped by the instructor at the entrance, it is better to ask the elders directly for help. Soon, after getting the elder pass and the green fire energy card in their hands, Xiao Ze and the others successfully entered the third floor. I found a small advanced training room, Xiao Ze politely invited the students inside, and the three of them entered. Okay, you guys practice here first, and I'll try the inner fire on the 4th and 5th levels. After Xiao Ze settled the two people, he left the room. Looking at Xiao Ze's leaving figure, the little medical fairy and Xiao Xun'er looked at each other. Sister, little medical fairy, seems to have been pulled a little too far. Yeah, it's hard to even practice together. Then try to catch up. The two nodded vigorously, sat cross-legged on the platform, and began to practice. Xiao Ze relied on his 4-star fighting spirit strength to easily enter the 5th level. I found a separate training room. The reason why he wants to practice alone is because he wants to receive 10 times the feedback reward of the Vajra Immortal Pill. Because Xiao Xun'er's momentum was too great after taking the elixir, Xiao Ze didn't want to receive the reward in front of the two of them. Xiao Xun'er took the 7th grade elixir, the Vajra Immortal Pill, and his physical condition was greatly improved, and his strength was upgraded to a 3-star fighting master. Congratulations to the host for getting tenfold feedback and a huge improvement in physical fitness. Obtain talent, natural physical training. Looking at these two reminders that have been stagnant for a few days, Xiao Ze slowly closed his eyes and thought silently in his heart. Receive award, that I beg all readers to read it. Now I recommend you to read it all. I beg you to use your little hands and pull it to the last page of the book. Thank you. Thank you to book friends 20230521627_ for your monthly ticket support. Chapter 83 Challenge the top 5 on the list. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the cafeteria, Xiao Ze's words stunned the three people opposite him. The surrounding students who were paying attention to Xiao Ze also looked at Xiao Ze in shock. After all, Xiao Ze was a man of the hour during this period. Even among those who are on the strong list, some of them may not be as popular as Xiao Ze in terms of discussion. After all, some of the strongest players on the list are now keen on retreating to prepare for the upcoming inner court competition. After disappearing for a period of time, the level of discussion is naturally not as good as Xiao Ze, who burst into the limelight some time ago. Lin Hao, the leader, couldn't help but observe Xiao Ze carefully. However, Xiao Ze's aura was restrained, and even he couldn't tell the depth. You must know that he is a 7-star fighting spirit, and he can't even see through a new student who has just entered the inner courtyard. This inevitably made his evaluation of Xiao Ze rise a few points higher. I was just about to open my mouth to recruit you on behalf of the Liang gang, but I didn't expect you to be the first to challenge our boss. Lin Hao came back to his senses and laughed, feeling very interesting about the development of things. Why not? Yes, of course, but as our boss is among the top 5 on the list, not everyone can challenge him casually. Lin Hao nodded frequently, approving of Xiao Ze's courage. As long as you know a little bit about the situation in the inner courtyard, even if you are a newborn calf who is not afraid of tigers, you will not dare to clamor to challenge and compete for the top 5. After all, he is a powerful person who can be ranked among the entire inner court, as a high-level fighting spirit. Lin Hao is considered a high-level person among Liang, otherwise Lin Liang would not let him be responsible for this recruitment. He thought for a moment and made a condition. How about this, if our boss wins the battle, you will join the Liang gang. No problem. Xiao Ze's answer was so straightforward and decisive that Lin Hao was stunned. Is it because he has confidence in his own strength, or because Xiao Ze originally wanted to join the Liang gang? No matter he wins or loses, is it no loss to him? With doubts in mind, Lin Hao waved to Xiao Ze and motioned for him to follow him. Let's go, our boss has been addicted to the arena recently, and he should be challenging the winning streak in the arena now. Xiao Xun'er and the little medical fairy also quickly followed up, closely following Xiao Ze, while there were a large group of students watching the fun nearby. Although there were only a few thousand people in the inner courtyard, it was meal time and there were not a few students in the cafeteria, along with a large group of people heading to the arena. When the students on the road saw this posture, they knew that something was going on. For a moment, they didn't even care about their own affairs. They followed the team and asked for details. When they learned that Xiao Ze, a new monster, wanted to challenge for the top 5, they all exclaimed in surprise. Although Xiao Ze is widely rumored to be a new monster in the inner courtyard, he is still just a new boy after all. Not long after entering the inner court, you dare to challenge the top 5 on the powerful list. The top 5 on the strong list are Laosheng, who have been practicing in the inner courtyard for several years, possessing terrifying strength at the peak of Douling. A large number of people poured into the arena, which also dampened the fiery atmosphere in the arena. Although it has entered night, the arena is still brightly lit. Everyone in the arena was looking at the large group of students who had just entered. Some people who knew each other quickly asked what happened. Lin Hao quickly rushed to an extremely burly young man and explained the situation in a concise manner. Oh. You want to challenge me? Lin Liang turned to look at Xiao Ze, and his powerful voice silenced the originally whispering arena. Xiao Ze nodded. At the same time, he did not forget to look up at this overly burly young man. Even some bear monsters cannot match this burly figure. Xiao Ze felt that this guy might be more suitable for the talent of innate physical training. Lin Liang took a closer look at Xiao Ze's expression, confirmed that he was not joking, and nodded. Since this is your decision, you must take responsibility for your decision. I hope you can sincerely join the Liang gang. After Lin Liang finished speaking, he turned around and walked onto the arena. Xiao Ze turned around, his eyes telling Xiao Xun'er and the little medical fairy not to worry. Although Lin Liang was full of confidence, his words seemed as if Xiao Ze was bound to lose, but it is often difficult for things to perfectly fit one's imagination. Xiao Ze jumped onto the arena with a light body. An elder appeared out of thin air. In the arena, of course, there are elders who are responsible for management. After all, the arena is often the easiest place to lose lives. Students who can enter the inner academy must either have a strong background or be extremely talented. No matter which student loses his or her life, it is something the academy does not want to see. I will be in charge of this battle. You two have no objections? Lin Liang said domineeringly. No. It all depends on the elders. Xiao Ze said with cupped hands. The elder smiled at Xiao Ze. Immediately he waved his hand and announced the start of the battle. Boom. The elder's words had just finished. Lin Liang's figure was like a violent monster, charging toward Xiao Ze. Call. The fist, which was bigger than a sandbag, hit Xiao Ze directly in the face. Facing this menacing punch, Xiao Ze just raised his hand, and a smooth water mirror appeared out of thin air. Relief water mirror. Shui Jing successfully blocked the fist. However, Lin Liang's reaction was also very quick. A dark red fighting spirit emerged and directly broke through the water mirror. At this time, Xiao Ze had moved away from him again. Lin Liang looked calm and rushed towards Xiao Ze again. The two began to chase each other on the field. When Xiao Ze used the water mirror fighting skills, a student who had been in the arena for many years suddenly said loudly in surprise. Xiao Ze is a water attribute practitioner. Wouldn't he be suppressed by Lin Liang, that he deliberately shouted loudly to attract the attention of the people around him, especially the two beauties following Xiao Ze, but to his disappointment, the two beauties did not waver at all when they heard his words. Their eyes were always focused on Xiao Ze, their faces were calm, and they seemed to have absolute confidence in Xiao Ze. Some people around who didn't know the reason also began to urge him to tell the reason. Ahem, Lin Liang's attribute is actually a variant attribute, the fire attribute. It has both the heaviness of the earth attribute and the violence of the fire attribute. It has an unparalleled advantage against water attribute practitioners. After listening to his introduction, the people around him suddenly realized, looking at the field, they couldn't help but feel sorry for Xiao Ze. Not only is his strength behind Lin Liang, but even his attributes are suppressed. If he changes his opponent, I'm afraid the situation will be better. See how much douqi you have left to condense the water mirror. Lin Liang was also a little annoyed by the constant pursuit. Haha, don't worry, I'm still very confident in competing in douqi volume. Xiao Ze stopped and the movement of his hands finally changed. Blue Sea Whirlpool. Relying on the water left by the previous water mirror, Xiao Ze immediately condensed a blue sea whirlpool and surrounded Lin Liang. Feeling the murderous intent of the water blade hidden in this whirlpool, Lin Liang did not dare to neglect it and immediately condensed the douqi armor. It has both earth and fire attributes, and its defense is not weak. However, what made Lin Liang's face change slightly was that he underestimated the power of the water blade. After several rounds of water blade slashes, his armor was actually broken. The situation took a turn for the worse. I ask all readers to read it. Now I recommend you to read it in full. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you. Thanks to book friend 2022082319340632, book friend 635516, Tears Dream Red Dust _ad for their monthly ticket support. Chapter 84, Flaming Sun Fist vs Blue Sea Waves. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There are some sharp-eyed students in the arena who have seen that Lin Liang's douqi armor is damaged. This really surprised them, because Lin Liang, as a strong man at the peak of Douling, has mastered douqi condensation. The douqi armor condensed is even more powerful than the real armor defense. In this case, it was actually broken by Xiao Ze's Dou skill. It also made the students in the arena realize that Xiao Ze's strength is probably more exaggerated than the rumors. Lin Liang didn't expect that dealing with a freshman would make his situation take a sharp turn for the worse. Shouldn't he crush him all the way and successfully subdue him? However, the current situation also made Lin Liang calm down again, realize that Xiao Ze was not an ordinary freshman, but a strong man at the same level as him. Although it is hard to believe, this is the fact. A freshman who has just entered the inner courtyard is comparable to him, an old student who has been immersed in the inner courtyard for several years. You must know that the accelerated practice of the Tianfen refining Qi Tower is not something that ordinary people can make up for. Several years, under the effect of the Tianfen refining Qi Tower, were enough to create an irreparable gap, but what he encountered was such a monster. A thought flashed through his mind. Lin Liang immediately relied on his rich combat experience. He realized that although the binding force of the Azure Sea Whirlpool was strong, the hidden water blade in it also had extraordinary power, but it was a whirlpool after all. If he couldn't break through the surroundings, he would break through upwards. He was not one of those monsters who only knew how to rush around. A large amount of douqi gathered at his feet and suddenly burst out, relying on the special attribute of the fire attribute. Under the violent douqi burst, Lin Liang really broke through the restraint of the Azure Sea Whirlpool. His figure rushed directly into the air like flying. Boom. I admit that I underestimated you. I shouldn't treat you as a freshman, but a real challenger. A strong man equal to me. I will go all out next time. Lin Liang said solemnly. His figure rushed out, and dark red fighting spirit condensed on his fists. A burning breath hit him. Xiao Ze hesitated for a moment, but decided not to use the evil poison. This time it was a deterrent battle. He had to make a name for himself, so that some people would not think that he was taking advantage of others and had the illusion that I can do it too. Then he handed over a challenge letter to himself in a vexatious manner. Xiao Ze did not retreat, and his fists also condensed a strong water-attributed fighting spirit. amid the exclamations of the crowd, Xiao Ze and Lin Liang started a close combat. They really couldn't understand why Xiao Ze gave up his fighting skills advantage and chose to fight Lin Liang in close combat. After all, looking at the size difference between the two sides, it was known that Xiao Ze could not take any advantage in a close-range fight. However, the next scene made them open their mouths in surprise. Under the attack of the fist that was bigger than a sandbag, Xiao Ze put his palm on it and easily resolved the force. Use the force to fight the force. Then he immediately fought back, fighting back and forth with Lin Liang. Even some weaker students could see it. Xiao Ze's close combat skills are extremely high. Every time they come into contact, the strength of Lin Liang's fist will be reduced, and those students didn't notice that Lin Liang's face became more and more solemn, not only because of Xiao Ze's superb close combat skills, but also because Xiao Ze's continuous consumption of Dou Qi has not yet run out at this moment. You must know that his fire attribute Dou Qi has a great advantage over water attribute Dou Qi practitioners. Every time Xiao Ze gets close to his fist, he will consume a large part of Dou Qi. However, when Dou Qi is consumed in multiples, Xiao Ze's face is calm, and there is no sign of running out of Dou Qi. Lin Liang knows that Xiao Ze's previous claim that he has a huge amount of Dou Qi is probably not exaggerated. Xiao Ze keenly caught that Lin Liang suddenly became distracted for some reason. Taking advantage of his momentary distraction, Xiao Ze condensed a light blue light on his hand. Yan counterattacks. Bang! Lin Liang retreated dozens of steps, his palm trembling as he looked at Xiao Ze. He could feel that this was a fighting skill of a high level. He could return his strength completely, and he also added some of Xiao Ze's own strength, which made his arm tremble. This short and fierce close combat ended with an unexpected ending for everyone. All the students looked at Lin Liang, who was retreating, and Xiao Ze, who was standing still. The shock in their hearts was beyond words. The size difference between the two sides. The final result was that Lin Liang retreated dozens of steps. In fact, no one present realized it. No matter how powerful Xiao Ze's skills were, he could not play them without a strong physique. Xiao Ze's terrifying physique contributed greatly to the result of this close combat. However, under the cover of Xiao Ze's extremely outstanding skills, his strong physique seemed a bit insignificant. Of course, this was also a situation that Xiao Ze deliberately concealed. After all, it's hard to explain the sudden increase in strength in front of Xiao Xun'er and Xiao Yixian. There is really only one Vajra indestructible pill. Endless tricks. If we keep dragging on like this, I'm afraid our identities will be reversed, and I'll become the challenger. Let's use the next move to decide the outcome. Lin Liang said, and his fists began to condense deep dark red fighting spirit. The temperature on the field gradually rose, and even the water stains at Lin Liang's feet were evaporated into water vapor by the high temperature. This fighting skill is my strongest skill, Yin-Yang Fist, which has extraordinary lethality. I hope you will be careful. Just what I want. Xiao Ze also felt that this battle was a bit long. It's time to strike the final hammer. The white fingers quickly formed seals, and the speed was so fast that it made people feel dizzy. As Xiao Ze moved, the energy of heaven and earth in the arena began to riot. Lin Liang's face was extremely solemn. He had heard that Xiao Ze had a ground-level fighting skill, but he was still very shocked when he saw it with his own eyes. But when the time came, he couldn't retreat, and he condensed all his fighting spirit and punched out. A huge dark red Dou Qi fist flew towards Xiao Ze with a fiery breath. Yin-Yang Fist. By Hai Jing Tao, accompanied by two low shouts, Jing Tao and Yen Hot Yang Fist collided. After a brief stalemate, Jing Tao killed Yen Hot Yang Fist with an unstoppable momentum. Even with the protection of Dou Qi armor, Lin Liang still hit the wall with Jing Tao and couldn't help spitting out blood. The elders had evacuated the students before both sides performed fighting skills. Now that they were settled, they returned to the arena. He looked at Xiao Ze with some surprise. Even he didn't dare to underestimate the power of this attack. Xiao Ze won this battle. At the same time, Xiao Ze replaced Lin Liang and became the fifth on the strong list. That with the announcement of the elders, those students who were still in shock all turned their eyes to Xiao Ze, the newly born fifth on the strong list. There was still unreality and disbelief in their eyes. You have to know that this is a freshman who just entered the inner courtyard. he has already made it to the top 5 of the strong list. Then what is the practice of these old students? Please read it, readers. Now I recommend you to read it in full. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you. Chapter 85, Reaching the 5th place. Each of us practices. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiao Ze stood on the arena, feeling that there was still plenty of fighting spirit in his body. He spoke. Do you have anything else you would like to teach me? You can come on stage. Today I, Xiao Ze, am in the top 5. Some people may see my status as a freshman and think that I am opportunistic and my strength is only this. It just so happens that I hate trouble, so why don't we solve it together today? Anyone who thinks that I am opportunistic and that my strength is not worthy of 5th place on the list can feel free to come on stage and challenge me. Xiao Ze's words, coerced by fighting spirit, echoed in the arena. At the same time, he glanced at the students in the audience, those students who made eye contact with Xiao Ze. They either lowered their heads or shifted their gazes, not daring to look directly at the young man on the stage. Do you think everyone is like you? If you say you want to be 5th on the list of strongest, then you should be 5th on the list of strongest. The most important thing is that you still win. As witnesses of this battle, they did not dare to say that Xiao Ze's strength was any less than adequate. Regardless of the close combat, he could fight Lin Liang back and forth, still using fighting skills. Lin Liang can be put into a critical situation. What's more, there is the final trump card of the earth-level fighting skill, Blue Sea Tide, which directly suppresses Lin Liang's strongest method. All of them illustrate how terrifying Xiao Ze is, and he is nearly all-round powerful. The elder standing next to Xiao Ze glanced at Xiao Ze with some surprise, feeling Xiao Ze's long breath. The fighting spirit in his body was also full. You know that Xiao Ze did not make an impulsive decision. Even if there are really strong students who challenge him, Xiao Ze has enough power to suppress them on the spot. The elder's eyes were still looking in 2 directions. There are 2 people in the top 10 on the strong list, both of whom are at the peak of fighting spirit. There was some interest in his eyes. I want to see if these 2 top 10 players will challenge Xiao Ze. After all, Xiao Ze put down his words and said, I will definitely accompany you. Xiao Ze's challenge to reach 5th place in the strongest rankings must have taken a toll. The 2 of them in the top 10 are both at the bottom, so maybe they really have a chance to miss something. However, after watching for a while, the elder was a little disappointed. The 2 top 10 players had no intention of challenging. Maybe they didn't want to take advantage of others, or maybe it was Xiao Ze's state that made them afraid. No one is willing to teach me. In that case, I hope all the seniors who witnessed this battle will give advice to those who are unaware. I hate trouble. If you really think I'm a pushover, you can challenge me. However, even now, I am still unable to fully master the earth-level fighting skills. If I accidentally seriously injure my senior, I will feel uneasy. Xiao Ze's words echoed in the arena. Lin Liang, who was being supported by Lin Hao in the audience, covered his chest, looked at Xiao Ze on the stage, and couldn't help but say in his heart. You'd better be really uneasy, that if it weren't for the fact that he finally drained all the fighting spirit from his body and condensed the fighting spirit armor, I'm afraid his injuries at this time are even more serious. Although Lin Liang said this in his heart, he sincerely admired Xiao Ze's strength. The young freshman is beating himself in almost every area. Such pure power made Lin Liang unable to express any dissatisfaction. Although it was already night at this time, the 5th place on the powerful list changed hands and was still spreading at an extremely fast speed in the inner courtyard. It's like dropping a large Buddha's wrathful lotus into the sea, causing turbulent waves. The top-ranking list itself is extremely concerned by students in the inner courtyard, not to mention the changes in the top 10. Whenever there is any disturbance, it will trigger a big discussion in the inner courtyard, and this time the situation is even more strange. Because of this change in the top 10, a freshman rose to the top in one fell swoop, directly reaching 5th place. The discussion became more intense. If everyone hadn't been talking about it, I would have suspected that you were making up stories to lie to me. You're kidding. I saw it with my own eyes. And when Xiao Ze put down his harsh words, I also noticed that there was someone in the top 10 of the list. Ah, then why didn't he take advantage of Xiao Ze's weakness after the battle and win the 5th place? Could it be that he didn't want to take advantage of others' danger? What a joke! Even if he can defeat Xiao Ze while he is weak, when Xiao Ze recovers, he will still hand over the 5th place to Xiao Ze obediently. After all, Xiao Ze's strength is not adulterated at all. Ahem, that's true, but from your description, Xiao Ze seems to be able to do it with ease. I wonder if he has any plans to continue to challenge. I think there should be. Lin Liang's attributes are extremely restrained, and he can win in a battle. It is conceivable that his true combat power is probably more than 5th, that there are different opinions on whether Xiao Ze will continue to challenge upward. Some think he will, and some think he won't. Xiao Ze's strength should be enough to hit the 2nd position on the list, that among some of the top forces, there are many people who have come to such a conclusion. However, no matter how monster Xiao Ze performed, they did not believe that Xiao Ze had the possibility to hit the top spot. The guy at the top of the list is the real monster. It has only been a few years since Xiao Yan reached the top of the list, but some senior students still clearly remember Xiao Yan's unstoppable momentum all the way to the top of the list. Even Do Wang masters have to be careful with that kind of terrifying power. If they are hit head-on, they will be seriously injured and retreat. Generally, senior students who know the situation of the 1st place on the strong list will subconsciously exclude Xiao Yan from the comparison. After all, it is too bullying to let a Do Wang master participate in the ranking among the inner courtyard students. But there is no way. The elders have already acquiesced to this situation, and the students can only accept it. The protagonist who triggered the discussion in the inner courtyard brought Xiao Xun'er and Xiao Yixian to the 4th floor of the Tianfen Refining Qi Tower. You too try it. If the heart fire is too strong, don't force it. Go back to the 3rd floor to practice. Xiao Ze said to Xiao Xun'er and Xiao Yixian. The two nodded, and then sat cross-legged on the platform, put the fire energy card, and began to practice. After a while, Xiao Ze saw that although their faces were a little flushed, they did not look painful. I think they are still within the tolerance range. Brother Xiao Ze, it's okay, it just reached the limit. Me too, the strength of this heart fire is acceptable. The two of them circulated for a cycle, and then spoke to Xiao Ze one after the other. Well, you two practice here, I have to try to master the 2nd half of the blue sea shock wave. I have got it for a long time, but I haven't tried to practice it yet. Xiao Ze closed the door and deliberately walked around nearby, let the students coming and going know that this place is related to him, although Xiao Xun'er and Xiao Yixian's current strength is not enough to occupy the advanced practice room when practicing in the 4th floor. But who made them have Xiao Ze's backers behind them? 5th place in the inner courtyard strong list. In the inner courtyard, the number of students who can compete with Xiao Ze can be counted on one hand. There are obviously fewer students who can enter the 4th floor, so Xiao Ze's walk around here is almost enough to form a deterrent. Besides, he is not like Lu Fei, who intends to use this practice room completely for his own use. When Xiao Xun'er and Xiao Yixian have finished their training and are no longer in use, other people can practice here. Please read this book. I recommend you to read it now. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you. Thank you for the monthly ticket support from book friend 20230521627_up. Chapter 86 Another Method of Challenging a Higher Level. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inner courtyard deep mountains, as the purple cloud wings vibrated, Xiao Ze flew rapidly. During this time, a blind flying monster regarded Xiao Ze as prey. As soon as it approached, it was punched into blood mist by Xiao Ze. The power of the body was fully demonstrated at this moment. In front of Xiao Xun'er and Xiao Yixian, Xiao Ze had to restrain his surging physical strength, but there was no one here, and they dared to come and offend him. The end would be turning into blood mist. Xiao Ze's fingers were like lightning, probing into the blood mist. When he retracted them, a light blue magic core was already clamped on his fingertips. In this wave and retraction, Xiao Ze's figure had already flown far away. If his hands had not moved quickly enough, I'm afraid this magic core would have been left behind by him. Sure enough, strength is the foundation. This wind-attributed 3rd-level magic core, if placed outside, would cost at least 200,000 gold coins. When I was weak, I felt very painful eating a Warcraft feast worth 2,000 gold coins. Now I hold this third-level magic core worth 200,000 gold coins between my fingertips, but I don't feel how precious it is. Xiao Ze murmured in his heart. He turned his wrist and put the third-level magic core into the ring. In the future, when he mastered alchemy, the more magic cores, the better. After all, most precious elixirs require magic cores as the main material. It is precisely because of the demand of alchemists to refine elixirs that the price of magic cores has remained high. Although he has not become an alchemist yet, it is necessary to prepare for a rainy day and collect some magic cores in advance. The thought flashed through his mind, and Xiao Ze's eyes lit up, and a huge waterfall appeared in his field of vision. The deafening sound of water can be clearly heard even when flying in the air. This is the perfect place to practice. Xiao Ze's figure slowly fell. The best place to practice blue sea shock waves is actually the vast ocean, but unfortunately, the ocean is tens of thousands of miles away from here. It takes Xiao Ze several years to fly there. But this huge waterfall is also a good place to practice. Blue sea shock waves requires a huge amount of Dou Qi to condense the stormy waves. If there is sufficient water source and water element, the Dou Qi expenditure can be minimized. Xiao Ze slowly landed on the river above the waterfall. The water attribute Dou Qi condensed under his feet, and his superb Dou Qi control ability allowed Xiao Ze to stand on the water surface. The core of the superposition method is to simulate the waves one by one. Xiao Ze closed his eyes and recalled the practice content of the second half of Blue Sea Shock Waves. He sorted out the fighting skills that he had already mastered. Xiao Ze quickly formed seals with both hands, and the speed was so fast that it was dazzling. Xiao Ze first used the first part of Blue Sea Shock Waves. This time he did not exceed the upper limit and exert the power of the earth-level fighting skills. Instead, he exerted the power of ordinary high-level Xian-level fighting skills. A huge wave rose on the river. Since there was no enemy in front of him, Xiao Ze took it from the river and used it on the river. He slammed the wave hard on the river surface, the water flow impacted and the sound shook. The power is good, but not enough, Xiao Ze muttered in his heart, while his hands kept making seals. He had already mastered the seals to perfection before, however, this time was the first time to cooperate with the operation of fighting spirit, so Xiao Ze chose to take steady steps. The core of the superposition method is to mobilize the power left over from the last attack, and then use fighting spirit that is several times larger than it to form a superposition. Boom! A huge wave rose up directly, and the power directly reached the peak of the high-level Xian level, approaching the power of the earth-level fighting skills. One superposition can reach this level. Xiao Ze narrowed his eyes slightly, and his hands kept moving. Next, I'm afraid it will be the power of the real earth-level fighting skills. As expected, the energy of the surrounding heaven and earth began to riot wildly. Compared with the earth-level fighting skills that Xiao Ze forcibly raised, this time the energy of the heaven and earth rioted. It was even more huge and violent. The earth-level fighting skills that Xiao Ze forcibly raised were only castrated versions after all, and the Jade Sea Tide at this time was the real terrifying power of the earth-level fighting skills. The Jade Sea Tide, which was superimposed twice in a row, made Xiao Ze's eyes widen. The terrifying waves hit the surface of the river, and the flowing river was reversed. The continuous waves hit and spread to the distance, revealing most of the riverbed. The waterfall behind Xiao Ze had no water supply and stopped flowing directly. Seeing this scene, Xiao Ze couldn't help but continue to make hand seals. The huge amount of fighting spirit in his body was drawn out, and he was going to prepare for the third superposition to see what kind of power he could reach. Gathering the power of the three previous waves, this wave hit down and smashed this section of the cliff directly. Boom! A large amount of rubble rushed down under the influence of the river water. A hint of surprise flashed in Xiao Ze's eyes. Even a Do Wang strongman would be killed on the spot if he resisted head-on with this power. Just when Xiao Ze wanted to perform the fourth superposition, the golden tree in the void space trembled slightly, directly cutting off the transmission of Dou Qi. Without the cooperation of Dou Qi, the fourth superposition would naturally become nonsense. It seems that even with my current Dou Qi, superposition 3 times is already the limit. Such a horrible consumption, no wonder it can make the inner courtyard elders' fighting spirit exhausted. Forget it, don't force it, wait until the fighting spirit is larger in the future. you can try it again. According to this fighting skill, as long as the fighting spirit allows, it can be superimposed without limit. Maybe in the future, it will really be possible to create a huge wave, and one fighting skill will submerge an empire. Xiao Ze looked at the waterfall in front of him, and the terrain that had been changed by his fighting skill. The superposition method can be regarded as completed. The next step is to master it to perfection, and then it will be considered completely mastered. In this way, I have another means of cross-level combat. With the ground-level fighting skills, I am enough to challenge the Do Wang strongmen. Wait until this fighting skill is mastered to perfection, and then start to impact the ranking. Xian is elusive in the original book. It is still a bit difficult to meet her by luck. It is better to meet her directly as a challenger. 10 days later, Xiao Ze finished his training and returned to the inner courtyard, came to the Tianfen refining Qi Tower and pulled out the two girls who were practicing, take them to relax in the inner courtyard. After all, under their stimulation, the two girls also have the tendency to practice crazy. For 10 consecutive days, they stayed in the Tianfen refining Qi Tower to practice. While strolling, Xiao Ze was also considering whether to attack step by step or challenge Xian directly. Just when Xiao Ze was hesitating, a young man in a white robe and dazzling silver-white short hair came to Xiao Ze. Finally found you, Xiao Ze, I want to challenge you. Xiao Ze looked at the extremely aggressive eyes and the strong momentum of the young man. He knew that this was likely to be in the top 10 of the strong list and was indeed qualified to challenge him. Xiao Ze couldn't help but say. Who are you? My name is Lei Jia, the second on the strong list. Hearing this, Xiao Ze was silent for a while. Why does he feel that the strong list of this session are all fighting maniacs? The second on the strong list challenges the fifth on the strong list. If Lei Jia wins, there is no benefit at all. If he loses, he will lose his ranking. Xiao Ze couldn't figure it out. What on earth was he trying to do? I beg all readers to read this book. I recommend you to read it in full now. I beg you to move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you so much. Chapter 87 Falling Lightning Spear. Breaking the surface with a point. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As the second strongest person on the list, why do you have to go through all the trouble to challenge me? Xiao Ze asked the doubts in his heart. Of course, after you defeated Lin Liang, the people in the inner court said all day long that you have the strength to hit the second place. I'm also curious about your strength. As Lei Jia spoke, he looked at Xiao Ze with his eyes, feeling the aggression in Lei Jia's eyes. Xiao Ze already understood, this is a fighting maniac. Perhaps part of the reason that prompted him to challenge him was that people in the inner court had too many discussions, which made him irritable, but the more reason is probably that he himself also wants to fight. Okay, let's set a time and place. Tomorrow at noon, the central square of the inner courtyard competition. Lei Jia said very simply. I'm looking forward to fighting you. After saying these words, Lei Jia turned and left. The surrounding students also became excited and rushed to tell each other. After all, this is a battle among the top 10 in the rankings, and it is definitely a battle between the strongest. It really makes people unable to relax. Xiao Ze turned around and said to Xiao Xun'er and the little medical fairy. The competitive environment in the inner courtyard is like this, brother Xiao Ze, come on. Xiao Xun'er made gestures to cheer Xiao Ze up. The little medical fairy follows suit. Come on, Xiao Ze. The second best person on the list is nothing more than that to you. Seeing the cute looks of the two of them cheering him on, Xiao Ze couldn't help but rub their heads with one hand. With your encouragement, I will be able to win tomorrow's battle. Okay, that's it for now, let's eat first. Xiao Ze said, leading the two of them to the canteen. Compared to the relaxed and leisurely atmosphere of Xiao Ze and the others, the inner courtyard began to become agitated. The battle between the second on the strongest list and the fifth on the strongest list. Although it has been speculated before that Xiao Ze has the strength to challenge the second place on the strong list, but these are just guesses, and now they can finally satisfy their guesses. Tomorrow we will know whether Xiao Ze can defeat Lei Jia, who is second on the power list. At noon the next day, Xiao Ze took Xiao Xun'er and the little medical fairy to the central square, where the inner courtyard competition was held. The central square is usually not open to the public, and I don't know what tricks Lei Jia used to get the college to agree. The venue here is huge and can accommodate the students in the entire inner courtyard, and there is still a lot of room to spare, and this battle also alarmed many inner courtyard students, except for some students who entered the mountains for training and retreat. The vast majority of students came towards the central square. In the highly competitive environment of the inner courtyard, every student is very enthusiastic when it comes to fighting. This is true both as a participant and as a spectator. As one of the protagonists of today's battle, Xiao Ze also attracted great attention. Xiao Ze himself is not affiliated with any force, however, due to his personal appearance and strength. Some people in the academy spontaneously cheered him on and even formed a group. The momentum was extremely huge. Come on Xiao Ze! Rush to second place! Come on, Xiao Ze, complete the reverse attribute battle once again. Amidst cheers, Xiao Ze came to the ring. Lei Jia was already ready at this time. As one of the best fighting madmen, and as a practitioner of the thunder attribute, he is extremely handsome when fighting. Naturally, there are many supporters. Xiao Ze, your popularity is probably higher than mine. I can't imagine that this is the popularity that a freshman can have. Lei Jia said with some envy. His current popularity is due to his fighting battle after battle over the past few years. Xiao Ze smiled, looking at the looming thunder snake on Lei Jia's body. His eyes narrowed slightly. That I couldn't help but say in my heart. Why do you feel that as a practitioner of the water attribute, anyone can restrain yourself? At this time, a familiar figure slowly landed in the center of the ring. Surprisingly, it was Elder Lin who was previously responsible for settling Xiao Ze and others. Battles between the top 10 on the inner court's strongest list are rarely held in public, because many of them are evenly matched, and the rankings cannot change drastically. Elder Lin said with a smile, the battle between you two makes the inner courtyard very lively. It's just in time to let those freshmen see how powerful they are in the top 10 in the inner courtyard. Let's give them a good stimulation. After Elder Lin finished speaking, he raised his right hand and waved it down suddenly, announcing the start of the game. Lei Jia drew out the silver-white spear on his back. Only a well-matched opponent would be worthy of him, a fighting madman, to draw his spear at the very beginning of the battle. Xiao Ze, you'd better be careful, I have a thunder attribute. After Lei Jia finished speaking, the violent thunder attribute flashed, and the field was completely white. Taking advantage of this brief burst of bright light, Lei Jia's body flashed and rushed towards Xiao Ze. He is a fighting madman and a genius in combat. Seize this moment that catches Xiao Ze off guard and get close. It's a pity that Xiao Ze's fighting skills are not weak either. Although the arena looked completely white, even Lei Jia couldn't be so full of fighting spirit that he could squander it at will and fill the entire arena. This also gave Xiao Ze the opportunity to condense the whirlpool of the blue sea. Under the insight of soul perception, Xiao Ze quickly used the blue sea vortex in the direction where Lei Jia was moving. No matter how powerful it is, Xiao Ze only hopes to stop him for a short time. At the same time, Xiao Ze's figure retreated violently. The movement of his hands also changed to the handprint of the blue sea shock wave. The previous battle with Lin Liang had already demonstrated his hard power. Now there is no need to delay so much, just use the earth-level fighting skills to make the final decision. Besides, the water attribute is against the thunder attribute. The longer you delay, the more disadvantageous it will be for you. The energy of heaven and earth suddenly rioted. Lei Jia, who was shrouded in the thunder attribute fighting spirit, changed his face, and threw a gun heavily, directly blowing up the blue sea vortex that had not yet condensed. But even so, it was too late, because in the direction he was going, at least one blue sea vortex needed to be blown up. So cruel. Use the earth-level fighting skills just at the beginning. Lei Jia's mind flashed through his mind, and he was not going to delay. Use his strongest ability, the falling thunder gun. Take the meaning of thunder falling from the endless sky. It is the falling thunder spear. The violent thunder attribute fighting spirit spread wantonly, turning into a dazzling lightning. Entwined on the spear, Lei Jia directly grasped the spear body, made a throwing gesture, aimed at Xiao Ze's position, and threw the spear fiercely. The spear wrapped in thunder attribute fighting spirit cut through the air, like a thunder dragon, and the fierce and domineering power made the audience sweat. If I were to face this shot, I'm afraid I would have been dead long ago. They couldn't help but look in the direction of Xiao Ze, and a raging wave was generated out of thin air, with a mighty power hitting the other end of the ring. Xiao Ze's eyes narrowed slightly. It seems that this Lei Jia is not unprepared at all. He has seen through the problem of his water attribute fighting skill, the blue sea shocking wave. That is, this fighting skill is particularly easy to be broken by a point. As expected, between the collision of the two fighting skills, the spear pierced through the blue sea shocking wave at a very fast speed. Although the thunder attribute fighting spirit on the spear has been weakened by half, it still has considerable power. The two fighting skills passed by each other and attacked each other's masters. Now it depends on whose means can block the other's fighting skills. Please read the book. Now I recommend you to read the book. Please move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you. Thank you for the monthly ticket support of Feng Lian. Chapter 88, Finally Meeting Zi Yan. The bloodline of the Taixu ancient dragon royal family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Even Elder Lin was a little surprised by this situation. After hesitating for a moment, Elder Lin still didn't show off and quickly sent a message to another elder for help. In case the time comes, he won't be able to take care of two people by himself. There were also exclamations in the audience. They did not expect that the battle would develop into such a situation. Supporters of both men couldn't help but sweat for them. Xiao Ze's condition was not bad. He did not use the earth-level Dou Qi and his body was depleted of Dou Qi as people imagined. On the contrary, in his current state, he can fight another full-intensity battle. Facing the silver-white spear flying towards him, Xiao Ze condensed his dark blue fighting spirit armor. He didn't want to be shocked by the thunder. Click. The hand was wrapped in extremely heavy armor, and he reached first and grabbed the gun body directly. Xiao Ze took a few steps back and neutralized the power on the spear. The thunder raged, leaving scars on the armor. However, no matter how raging the thunder was, it could not completely shatter the armor. Compared to Xiao Ze, who dealt with the fallen thunder gun lightly, Lei Jia on the other side was not so lucky. No matter how much Blue Sea Jingtao castrates, he still has the power of earth. Level fighting skills. The falling thunder gun lost most of its energy when it shot through the blue sea waves, but the blue sea wave did not suffer much damage and went straight to Lei Jia. Lei Jia looked solemn, feeling that all escape routes were locked. The weakness of blue sea storm is that it can be easily broken. The advantage is equally significant, that is, the attack range is ridiculously large. Lei Jia couldn't seem to hide even if he wanted to. He could only gather all the fighting spirit in his body and turn it into armor. At the same time, the thunder attribute surged out violently. Lei Jia put his palms together, and violent thunder attributes were emitted by him like thunder pillars. It hit hard on the blue sea waves. Unfortunately, this move could only slightly weaken the power of the blue sea waves. Boom. The armor was shattered, and Lei Jia's figure was rushed under the ring. He couldn't help but cough up a mouthful of blood, which mixed with the sea water, making the light blue sea water stained with blood. Elder Lin saw that Lei Jia had many means, so he did not go to rescue him. After all, it wasn't life-threatening yet, so there was no need for him to take action. Xiao Ze won this game and replaced Lei Jia to become second in the power list. He can get a corresponding amount of fire energy every month. After Elder Lin made the announcement, the entire central square became noisy. This battle ended unexpectedly quickly, but it was extremely exciting. Especially seeing the power of earth-level fighting skills with their own eyes made them feel excited. This trip was worth it. The freshmen focused their burning eyes on Xiao Ze. They have not forgotten Xiao Ze, who was shining brightly in the arena, but they entered the inner courtyard in the same class. Countless people clenched their fists, their faces flushed, silently targeting Xiao Ze in their hearts. If he can achieve 1/10 of Xiao Ze's achievements and graduate from Canaan College, he may be able to become famous on the mainland. At this moment, Xiao Ze became the idol of many inner courtyard students, who regarded Xiao Ze as the goal to strive for. The entire audience chanted Xiao Ze's name, announcing the change to second place on the inner court's ranking list. The leaders of the inner court forces also had a little fear in their eyes. At the same time, he was somewhat fortunate that Xiao Ze had no idea of forming a force. Otherwise, another top force may appear in the inner court. After all, as soon as the second place on the list was revealed, countless people were willing to join it. Xiao Ze jumped off the ring at this time, came to the front of Lei Jia. and stretched out his palm. Lei Jia, who was still struggling on the ground, couldn't help but be stunned when he saw the white palm. What? If you lose, you can't even be friends? Huh, what the hell? Thanks. Lei Jia decisively held Xiao Ze's hand and used his strength to stand up. Speaking of which, you are really a monster. You don't look like a new student at all. You are even more powerful than me, an old guy who has been in the inner courtyard for several years. Lei Jia took the silver-white spear handed over by Xiao Ze and said with a sigh. Xiao Ze smiled slightly, did not dwell on this topic, and asked another question. Speaking of which, the top spot in the inner courtyard seems to be very mysterious. Where can I find her? Hearing Xiao Ze's words, Lei Jia's expression suddenly changed, and rare fear appeared in his eyes. You want to challenge that guy? Seeing Lei Jia like this, Xiao Ze secretly smiled in his heart. When Ziyan ranked first on the strong list, what a deep psychological shadow it left on the strong men in the group's inner courtyard. As soon as she is mentioned, her expression changes. Xiao Ze pretended to be confused and said, "Why, is there anything strange about the top spot in the inner courtyard? You can't challenge it. It's not something we can't challenge. That guy is not on the same level as us." Lei Jia said matter-of-factly, "Let's put it this way, that guy shouldn't participate in the struggle between the students in the inner courtyard. Although you are strong, you are still a little far behind that guy." Lei Jia solemnly advised, "If you don't have the combat power to reach the level of Dou Wang, it's best not to think about challenging that guy." Now that you say that, I'm even more curious. What's so special about the top spot in the inner courtyard? Where can I usually see her? Seeing that Xiao Ze really couldn't persuade him, Lei Jia sighed and said, "It's easy for you to meet her. That guy usually practices on the 6th floor of the Tianfen Refining Qi Tower. Anyway, you are now the second on the strong list. Don't worry. We are practicing on the same floor. You will always meet her." "Is that so? Then there is no rush." Xiao Ze chatted with Lei Jia for a while. Seeing Xiao Xun'er and Xiao Yixian coming over, Xiao Ze waved to Lei Jia. "Let's go. Take good care of your injuries." "How dare you say that?" Lei Jia laughed and scolded, "After my strength has broken through, I will challenge you again and take back my second place on the list. Then you have to do it as soon as possible. I feel like I'm going to break through again." Xiao Ze left a sentence that stunned Lei Jia, and then took Xiao Xun'er and Xiao Yixian away. After a while, Lei Jia slowly shook his head and sighed. What a monster! The next day, after Xiao Ze settled Xiao Xun'er and Xiao Yixian, he continued to walk to the bottom of the Tianfen Refining Qi Tower. After a long spiral staircase, Xiao Ze finally arrived at the resting square in the center of the 6th floor. As soon as he entered the small square, Xiao Ze's figure attracted many eyes. Many people witnessed Xiao Ze's use of Earth-level fighting spirit yesterday, and now they saw Xiao Ze with a little awe in their eyes. Xiao Ze looked at the number 1 training room at the first time. There was a figure in white clothes flashing there, and then the door was quietly closed. Ziyan, Taixu ancient dragon, royal bloodline. Looking at the golden font on the panel, Xiao Ze smiled, and the attached binding finally settled. In the eyes of awe, Xiao Ze came to the number 2 training room. After watching Xiao Ze enter the number 2 training room, everyone whispered and then returned to their own training rooms. There are very few training rooms in the center of the 6th floor, almost 1 carat and 1 pit, and only those on the strong list have the opportunity to compete. Xiao Ze felt the abundant energy in the light red mist around him, and the corners of his mouth kept rising. It's really a treasure land for cultivation. I beg all readers to read it. I recommend you to read it in full now. I beg you to move your hands and scroll to the last page of the book. Thank you so much. Chapter 89 Xiao Yan, only with the burning technique can I catch up with him. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiao Ze looked around the number 2 training room, which was filled with a faint red mist. These light red mists were obviously formed by the energy being extremely abundant and atomized. It was similar to the principle of Dou Qi turning into liquid when a fighter broke through to Dou Shi, which was a higher form of energy. Xiao Ze took a deep breath and felt that the golden tree in the empty space in his body was a little more active. Practicing in this energy-rich treasure land, it won't take long for me to reach the peak of Douling. In this way, the star gap between me and the top 10 on the strong list will be completely eliminated, and everyone will be at the same star level. Of course, except Xiyan. Xiao Ze sat cross-legged on the platform, not in a hurry to put the Qinghua energy card, he muttered in his heart. Bind Xiyan's Taixu ancient dragon bloodline. Congratulations to the host for successfully binding Xiyan's Taixu ancient dragon bloodline. The bloodline has been improved and the host will get multiple feedback. Xiao Ze glanced at the system prompt and was relieved. However, he didn't know whether the blood power of the monster would increase with the increase of strength. In his impression, the only confirmed increase of blood power in Xiyan's original work was to obtain the dragon phoenix origin fruit. If Xiyan's Taixu ancient dragon blood power does not increase with the increase of strength, then it means that the number of feedbacks Xiao Ze can get will be greatly reduced. But even so, Xiao Ze is not worried, because the increase when Xiyan obtains the dragon phoenix origin fruit will be a qualitative change. The dragon phoenix origin fruit with the power of the Taixu ancient dragon and the ancient sky phoenix makes Xiyan truly the supreme of monsters. As long as Xiao Ze can get that feedback, then this subsidiary binding will not be a loss at all. If 10 times or 100 times feedback is triggered again, the improvement for Xiao Ze will be unparalleled. Xiyan should also be practicing at this time, but the system has not responded yet. Could it be that for a magic beast, a normal increase in strength will not affect the power of blood, and only when it breaks through a great realm can the power of blood be stimulated? Xiao Ze has not received any feedback yet, so he can only guess this way. It will take some time for Xiyan to break through to the 6th level magic beast, so there is no rush. Even Xiao Ze has placed his hopes on the dragon phoenix origin fruit. Xiyan can evolve her blood power by taking the dragon phoenix origin fruit, which is absolutely certain. As for whether the advancement will stimulate the power of blood, it is not clear. After all, he is a human, and he does not know much about the secrets of the magic beast. In the original work, the magic beast improves its blood power by absorbing the essence and blood of a magic beast that is more powerful than itself. Xiao Ze does not have the ability to get the essence and blood of the Taixu ancient dragon now. It seems that the feedback from Xiyan is still a long way off. Forget it, let's give priority to improving my own strength. Xiao Ze put the green fire energy card on the card slot, and 25 points of fire energy were directly deducted. Hiss. It's so expensive. After muttering this, Xiao Ze entered the state of cultivation. Some time ago, Wutan City, Xiao family. Teacher, I finally became a fighter. The young man's excited voice echoed in the cave, and his tone was full of joy. This is just the first step. Yao Lao said a word to discourage Xiao Yan from being too arrogant. However, it is also a very remarkable thing that Xiao Yan can be promoted to a fighter in such a short time. In addition to talent, Yao Lao also saw Xiao Yan's efforts. Since recovering his talent for cultivation, Xiao Yan has completely transformed into a cultivation maniac. He abandoned playing and reduced all useless time. Put all this energy into cultivation. If Yao Lao hadn't reminded Xiao Yan from time to time, it would be worse than too little. I'm afraid Xiao Yan has already overcultivated to the point of having problems. After hard work and dedication, he finally became a fighter. This sense of accomplishment is definitely the most satisfying thing for a young man. Okay, I mentioned it to you before, now it's time to make a final decision. After Yao Lao's words fell, Xiao Yan's face quickly calmed down. Teacher, can you give me a brief introduction to the cultivation method you mentioned that can help you grow? I also got the burning technique by accident. Its cultivation difficulty is enough to match its heaven-defying nature. Yao Lao's eyes revealed some memories. The burning technique can indeed evolve, and it evolves by devouring the alien fire. I also told you before that the alien fire is the most violent and destructive existence in the world, and it is extremely rare, and it may be rare to see it for hundreds of years. If you choose the burning technique, the difficulties you will encounter are not only the pain of refining the alien fire, but also the rarity of the alien fire, which may make you have no chance to evolve. After Yao Lao's clear words fell, Xiao Yan fell into complete silence, frowning. the amazing thing about the burning technique is that it can evolve and grow. If you can devour enough strange fires, even the high-level heavenly rank is not impossible, but as Yao Lao said, not only will you face difficulties and pain in the process of devouring strange fires. More importantly, the rarity of strange fires, if you are unlucky, he may not be able to evolve the burning technique in his lifetime. Xiao Yanzi, if you really regard surpassing Xiao Ze as your obsession, then you must choose an impossible path. Xiao Yan showed a bitter smile on his face. Yes, burning Jew is currently the only way he can possibly surpass his fourth brother. Teacher, didn't you say you want me to make my own decision? Why do you keep speaking for Fun Ju? Xiao Yan complained with some distress. If it hadn't been for Yao Lao's introduction, as for the balance in his mind, it would have completely tilted towards burning Jew. Actually I also have my own selfish motives. Oh. Teacher, can you tell me something? Xiao Yan's eyes were full of curiosity. Could it be that there are other secrets in this burning technique? There is a vague mention in this burning technique. If you successfully master several kinds of strange fires in practice, you can forge a body that can accommodate the soul in a special way. Having a body, I can be regarded as a different kind of rebirth. I have a very important thing that my soul state cannot do, so I need a real body, Yao Lao said, with a complicated look in his eyes. Xiao Yan looked shocked when he heard this. He didn't expect that Fun Ju could actually be resurrected. He also respected Yao Lao very much, although Yao Lao sucked his fighting spirit at first, but during this period, Yao Lao taught him sincerely and treated him as a disciple, even his own child. Xiao Yan can detect these. His heart is not made of stone either. If possible, he would also like to repay Yao Lao. Okay, as I get older, I talk more. I have a fire-attributed low-level skill, and the other is the burning technique. No matter what you choose, teacher, I will support you. After Yao Lao finished speaking, 2 scrolls were placed in front of Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan looked at the black scroll with a bright smile on his face. Teacher, you are right. If you want to pursue an impossible goal, you must take an impossible path. Xiao Yan said, placing one hand on the black scroll, and a large amount of information poured into his mind. Only by Fun Ju can we possibly catch up with him, Xiao Yan said silently in his heart, and immediately crossed his legs and began to transform his fighting energy. I beg all readers to read it. Now I recommend you to read it all. I beg you to use your little hands and pull it to the last page of the book. Thank you. Thanks to book friends 201709031929100063 for the monthly ticket support. Chapter 90, Hundredfold Feedback Alchemy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In a remote cave in the back mountain of the Xiao family, Xiao Yan slowly opened his eyes, opened his palms, looked at the light yellow fighting spirit in his palms, and couldn't help but show excitement. Does this count as mastering the burning technique? That's right, but now Fenju is only at the lower level of Huang level, and has very little fighting spirit. When fighting with others, you must achieve a quick victory. Yao Lao said. Xiao Yan nodded in agreement. This is indeed the case for low-level skills. We can only hope that they can swallow the strange fire in the future. Okay, you are now officially promoted to a fighter, and it is also time to officially learn the art of alchemy. As Yao Lao finished speaking, Xiao Yan couldn't help but have desire in his eyes. He had also seen Yao Lao refining elixirs with his own eyes during this period of time. He also personally took these elixirs to the auction house for auction. Between one entry and one exit, the value has increased dozens or even hundreds of times. This made him deeply realize how popular alchemists are in Douchi continent. Now that I have the talent of an alchemist, I certainly don't want to waste my talent as an alchemist. Okay, are you ready with all the things I asked you to prepare some time ago? Of course, I prepared strictly according to the teacher's instructions. Xiao Yan touched the ring with his finger, and a 2-mouth medicine cauldron appeared in the cave. Put your palm on the flame of the medicine cauldron and inject fighting energy. Xiao Yan followed Yao Lao's instructions and carried out meticulously. Looking at the blazing flames in the medicine cauldron, Xiao Yan's eyes lit up. Next, look for the wood attribute in your body and pull it in from another fire port. After more than 10 minutes, Xiao Yan slowly opened his eyes, and a trace of wood power entered from another fire hole. When Yao Lao saw this scene, he couldn't help but nod secretly. He spent nearly half an hour searching for that trace of wood power in his body. Only by injecting this trace of wood power can the violent flames be neutralized, make the flame in the medicine cauldron more durable and easier to control. This shows how powerful Xiao Yan's soul perception is. From all aspects, Xiao Yan's talent as an alchemist is extremely high. However, if you want to become an outstanding alchemist, talent alone is not enough. Character, hard work and opportunity are all indispensable. Yao Lao touched Xiao Yan's forehead, and a stream of information poured into his mind. This is a healing medicine created by my master. After you are familiar with it, you can start refining it. I will guide you on the side. After Yao Lao finished speaking, Xiao Yan slowly closed his eyes and began to become familiar with the prescription in his mind. Soon after, Xiao Yan opened his eyes, with a bit of confidence in his eyes. Start throwing the medicinal materials that need to be refined into the medicine furnace. Look at the medicinal materials that are fleeting and turned into ashes. Xiao Yan couldn't help showing embarrassment on his face. Just looking at the prescription, he thought it was really simple, but he didn't expect that it would be more difficult to control the flame than he imagined. Continue. It's scary for an alchemist to make money, and it's even scarier to spend money. Training an alchemist is not that simple. Yao Lao's words woke up Xiao Yan. He calmed down his breathing, put in the medicinal materials again, and began to refine them repeatedly. After half a day of refining, I also took several breaks to restore my fighting spirit. Looking at the results of his refining, Xiao Yan took a deep breath. The next fusion was the big difficulty. He has been practicing for many years and is on the 6th floor of Tianfen Qi refining tower. Xiao Ze slowly opened his eyes, feeling the fighting spirit filling his body. He slowly exhaled, took the fire energy card out of the card slot, and said to himself, "After practicing for a while, I finally reached the peak level of fighting spirit." Xiao Ze looked at Xiao Xun'er and the little medical fairy who were sitting cross-legged next to them. That's right, he brought them both to the second training room on the 6th floor. Even if the two of them couldn't bear the extremely powerful inner fire in the number 2 training room, just because of the atomized energy in this training room, the effect of practicing here is better than that of the advanced training rooms on the previous floors. It's just that there is no special effect of heart fire tempering fighting spirit, but it's fast. With the speed of their cultivation, it won't be long before they can adapt to the powerful inner fire. It's just that I can't practice for a long time. It just so happened that there was only one training platform in the number 2 training room. Let the two of them practice on the platform alternately. In this way, their practice speed will be greatly accelerated. Xiao Ze glanced at the system panel. Suddenly, his eyes suddenly widened, and he saw the words alchemy looming on the ability bar. Below Xiao Yan. Is this good luck? I happen to see my third brother learning the art of alchemy, Xiao Ze said secretly in his heart, and immediately chose to bind without any hesitation. Congratulations to the host for successfully binding Xiao Yan's alchemy technique. In the next lesson where Xiao Ze bound the alchemy technique, the font of the alchemy technique was completely stable. Xiao Yan completed refining medicine for the first time, getting started with medicine refining. Congratulations to the host for getting 100-fold feedback. Not even with Xiao Ze's temperament, he couldn't help but take a breath of cold air after receiving 100-fold feedback from practicing medicine. Brother Xiao Ze, what's wrong? Xiao Ze, are you okay? The two people who broke away from the cultivation state looked at Xiao Ze with a little worry in their eyes. After all, Xiao Ze rarely looked like this. It's okay, I just feel a little whim, as if something good is going to happen. Maybe there is a chance. Xiao Ze shook his head and said to the two of them. I'll go out and you can continue practicing. Xiao Ze's figure quickly disappeared into the number 2 training room. The little medical fairy and the thoughtful Xiao Xun'er were left behind. Xun'er, what's wrong with Xiao Ze? The little medical fairy was full of doubts and could only ask Xiao Xun'er, who knew Xiao Ze better. Xiao Xun'er was thoughtful and couldn't help but look at the little medical fairy. Xun'er, why are you looking at me like this? If you have any questions, please tell me. The last time Brother Xiao Ze said this, he was in Wutan City, and he also went on a long trip. Xun'er's words made the little medical fairy understand immediately. According to her understanding, wasn't it the only time Xiao Ze traveled far away before he came to Canaan that he met her? You mean Xiao Ze might bring back another girl? That the little medical fairy couldn't help but say this, and Xiao Xun'er chuckled. No, I mean brother Xiao Ze's premonition is very accurate. It doesn't have to be bringing back a girl, it could also be something that really benefits him. Just like the disaster poison body you possess, little medical fairy, isn't it a great help to brother Xiao Ze? Okay, this is brother Xiao Ze's opportunity, let's not worry, let's seize the time to practice. Xiao Xun'er said a word of relief, then closed her eyes again and entered the cultivation state. The little medical fairy recalled Xiao Xun'er's previous words and nodded in agreement. Xiao Ze possesses the poison body of disaster. Finding myself, the owner of the disaster poison body, is indeed a great help. But it's not against Xiao Ze, it's for both parties. That is to say, Xiao Ze might be able to get huge benefits this time, so he really needs to hurry up and practice. The distance from him is really getting further and further away. Not long after, training room number 2 fell into silence again. Xiao Ze, on the other hand, quickly rushed to the mountains and found a secluded place. After confirming the safety of the surroundings, choose to receive the 100-fold feedback reward of alchemy. I beg all readers to read it. Now I recommend you to read it all. I beg you to use your little hands and pull it to the last page of the book. Thank you.